We recording? Yep. What's up, everybody? I'm on 13, and welcome back with part 3. Now then, for my yuji, what if yuji was a part of the Gojo Clan video? This isn't me bullshitting or anything. I swear to God, I okay, well, y'all might be a little pissed at this, or I might just laugh. But, I recorded that video and forgot about it. And to make up space for my phone to make new videos, I deleted it. So, yeah. Which, in all honesty, I probably should have checked first for those ones, but you live and you learn. Plus, I've gone over in my head and wanted to make something new anyway. So, I mean, hey, gives me that. But, also, I also like to apologize to Horikoshi for, slightly being on his ass about that ending. Which I know I didn't say anything about it unless I did, but, yeah. While that ending was kind of ass, which ended off okay-ish, the JJK manga ending, well, yes, some good parts about it. I'll give it that, some, decent parts, but it was ass. It was, hot gahabe. But, yeah. So, let's start off part 3, so I can go ahead and make part 2 of the Gojo Clan one. So, let's get into it. Alright, so we start the story off, obviously, where we last left it off at. With Yuji and Junpei and Yuji and Junpei killing those curses and Yuji blowing up just a small bit of something in his anger. Just a small little rock formation in the crater that Sukuna left behind. So yeah, this leads, now we see Yuji and Junpei on the footsteps of just some random building. I don't know what building he was in the manga. Which also, yes, this is going to manga events. If any of you are anime only, well, look, man, my channel goes into manga events, so tough titties. If you get spoiled, then, well, you get spoiled because this is the only warning I'm giving. Alright, everyone who either doesn't care or just stayed, or, well, have already seen it. So, yeah, Yuji and Junpei are just seen sitting on the steps. Junpei is more or less worried about Yuji, really worried. Since after Yuji's outburst of anger, he's just been quiet. This is when Choso comes down from the other side of the steps. Well, comes down from a bigger flight, telling them exactly what's what and how they can go back to Jujutsu High. Although Yuji interrupts him when he says this and telling him that with Gojo Sensei gone and with over the 2,000 people Sukuna killed, it's highly likely that his execution is back on track. If anything, it would just lead to Yuji having to kill everyone there, which it's more or less that he doesn't want to. It's just that he just can't right now. He doesn't want to deal with it right now. Then Yuji just asked Choso something. What was that thing that was his mother? Whoever that is. Noritoshi Kamo. And so, Choso explains about how Yuji is a death wound painting. This leads to Yuji realizing that he murdered his own brothers, which brings his mood down even slightly more. Knowing the fact that he killed some of the only family he had left. And so Choso asks him what he's going to do. But Yuji just will kind of give him an answer straight up that he just has to stay here. I mean, it's either that or possibly being killed. It's either that or possibly being killed by Jujutsu Tech. Or him killing them. Either way, into it, someone dead. So right now, it's just him sticking with Choso, but he does tell Junpei that he can go ahead and head on. Junpei then counters Yuji with this by telling him that, well, to be completely honest, what's to say they wouldn't try to get where Yuji was out from Junpei? And plus, he doesn't really like Jujutsu Tech all that much anyway, since he knows about how corrupt the higher-ups are. This leads to Yuji saying, so you're staying with us? Just ask him with solid yes, and thus the three make their way on. Now then, we get to we switch over to Jujutsu High. We see Yuta, well, a black-haired, we see a black-haired man in a white suit. Look, man, you know it's Yuta. I don't want to explain. We see Yuta. He's telling Jujutsu High that he's going to kill Yuji Itadori, while also thinking about the fact that Yamaki lost an arm thanks to Sukuna. And thus, this gives him perfect full-on to believe him, to avenge his friend. And so Yuta goes off. Now then, somewhere else, we see just a little girl in tattered shoes, just walking out, which she gets confronted by something telling her to come here. When she eventually does, there seems to be a giant curse right next to her. Although, luckily for the girl, something jumps out and attacks her, stabbing it through the head. With this being Yuta, as he asks her to tell him, which that conversation goes as in canon, with Yuta shielding the girl's eyes from Rika turning the curse into a splat on the wall. So yeah. Now we switch over to Naito. Naito. I know I'm saying his name wrong. It's just, as he realizes that Megami's a Zenin and that to get full control over the Zenin, he would have to kill Megami. And thus he thinks about the fact that Yuji Itadori is basically the closest person he's known about, closest person to Megami that he knows of besides Gojo. And thus it leads him set out to hopefully find Yuji to lead. Basically use Yuji as bait for Megami and then kill both of them. He doesn't know about Yuji's subsequent power-ups. Which also, I kind of made it seem like Yuji was a noob at using Super Saiyan in like the last video. Which, no. Yuji's had it for a while, and with people like Gojo around, I feel like he would make him at least somewhat get a good mastery on it. Yuji's problem with Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2 is that the power gets to his head a bit too much the longer he uses it. That's Yuji's problem with it. Also, Yuji had enough of a mastery over Super Saiyan to say that his rage from the bar is death basically pushed him over the edge and broke past that barrier of Super Saiyan. So yeah. Now then, we get on with the video. As, well, we see Naito ends up confronting our trio, along with him telling them exactly what his plans is, only for him to then appear in between the three of them, swinging a punch at Yuji, for not only Yuji to counter, well, block it, but counter with his own punch, punching Naito back a bit, with blood starting to trickle from his mouth as he had hoped to twink that attack. He knows that Yuji is some weird half-alien, but he didn't expect for him to be that strong physically, to where it would even make him, since that pain went over his entire body, and he's slightly, he's hurt. And also, he didn't think Yuji would actually be that strong to actually hurt him. But who did he know? This is when they all feel a powerful key and curse energy signature right over. With them looking over, they see Yuta. Now then, three of them don't know who this is. Yuji, on the other hand, does. Training with Gojo for 7 months in the time chamber, he would have told Yuji about Yuta. He knows that his curse energy output is damn near even greater than Gojo's. As Yuji starts explaining this, Yuta cuts him off, telling him that he's come to kill him, with him jumping off the player he was on, shattering and turning it to destruction before landing in front of them. Yuji then tells the two of them to handle Naito to make sure he doesn't get to Megami, even if it means killing him. While Yuji can't help but smile a bit, and seeing how strong Yuta is, and thus he quickly powers up into Super Saiyan before blasting off. And with Yuta seeing that he's fast and thinking to himself, before eventually bursting into a red aura of his own, flying after Yuji. Now then, this leads to Naito and Junpei to fight. Naito, let's go over their fight first. Now then, Yuji is seen flying low to the ground, however. Now, so at the corner of his eye, he can tell that Yuta's using Kaioken. And thus, Yuji also sees a car as he stops his flying momentum to grab his hands on it in the spin. With Yuta wondering why he's doing this, only as he gets close enough while Yuji is spinning, using the car to swing himself, he ends up kicking Yuta in the face. This caught Yuta off as he also knocked him out of Kaioken from his concentration, landing and grabbing out his katana. Now, Yuji realizes that an open air fight with a man that can use a katana cursed energy keyblade isn't a smart idea. So he thinks to himself that since it seems like he's definitely somewhat faster, he could basically get him inside a room and basically ping pong off the walls to attack him out multiple areas. And so he tries to go for the wall, a building, but Yuta throws said car that Yuji swung over at him. But Yuji is slightly surprised, with Yuta asking Yuji if he didn't, the way he seems, he bets Yuji didn't think of him to be a slightly power type. And thus, this leads to Yuji end up rushing Yuta, which he ends up dodging his sword a bit before kicking Yuta in the side, only for Yuta to block with his own knee, but still getting sent back a little bit nonetheless. With Yuji noticing the car, he ends up rushing for it. Now that he ends up going into the car and ends up finding a knife, a survival knife, taking it as he thinks about the fact that Yuta's katana is the most dangerous thing right now that he has to take care of. And thus he ends up landing outside of said car, with Yuta rushing at him, only for him to actually his katana get blocked, as it's revealed that Yuji has a knife. Although it seems like he's turned into a sword with ki. Although Yuji has turned said knife into a basically ki sword, a golden ki sword, as the two rush each other. And Yuji still kind of hasn't learned how to fight with applying ki and cursed energy to make Obelisk stronger. So eventually said knife breaks, but this gives Yuji enough time to plant his foot on Yuta's sword and snap it. This leaving Yuta open, leads to Yuji delivering a gut punch that sends Yuta flying back, flying back and ends up in that crate, skidding on the ground, leaving, dug up marks on it, with Yuji getting in front of him. With Yuta basically asking Yuji, what is he doing right now? So Yuji explains about Super Saiyan. Although, knowing that now if the katana's out of the way and he can waste his... Now, even though it might sound like a death gamble, who knows? Now, then Yuji does tell you what Yuta asking Yuji if he can go above it. Or is this just it? As Yuji starts explaining, along with even telling Yuta about what happened in Shibuya and how he got it. Telling him that losing someone he loved let him gain this power. Let him gain power and stronger like this. That was a weird sentence. And this slightly moves Yuta even more. Yuta himself knows what it's like to lose someone you love. And thus Yuji powers up into Super Saiyan 2, with Yuta powering up into a Kaioken times 10 as the two rush at each other. With Yuji barely being able to dodge one punch from Yuta as the next one comes up hitting Yuji with an uppercut, only for Yuji to basically spin kick while flying to hit Yuta also in the chin. With the two backing off and rushing at each other again, Yuji ends up flying at Yuta, who punches only to realize it's an after image, as the real Yuji comes out from the side, kicking Yuta in the side, sending him up in the air. As Yuji then teleports ahead of Yuta for double hammer fisting, using double hammer fisting, sending him flying through a couple of buildings, with Yuji not being done yet as he charges up a massive ball of ki, throwing it at the said building and blowing it up. With Yuji screaming at Yuta, telling him that he's sorry, but he doesn't think that the bar would be too happy to see him after just only a couple of hours after she died. Thinking to himself that he can't die, along with the fact that he knows he still has things to solve right now. Along with that, Yuji's thinking to taking up the fact that since it's his mother that's going around, or whatever that thing is, he's going to be the one to kill it. Or at least stop it, whatever it's planning. With Yuta coming out of the rubble, with Yuji blocking said attack, but still getting dragged to a building. As the two then proceed to throw out punches, a flurry of punches, which are all blocked, although a couple of hits are thrown. As in on Yuta's side, he's able to dodge a couple of punches while punching Yuji in the face twice. With Yuji countering while punching Yuta one time, dodging one of his fists, punching him again, and then kneeing him in the gut. As Yuji just realized from this that he's far more experienced fighter. Well, not experienced, more so skilled than Yuta. Since after kneeing him in the gut, he proceeds to grab Yuta before turning, basically and flaring his ki. And you know what Broly did to Gohan in the second movie by making his ki go off like a bomb? That. Yuji does that. As the explosion goes off. As this explosion goes off, Yuji is seen floating down. I'm trying to sense where Yuta is. Only to feel something come up behind him. It's Curse, Shinigami. He puts up a barrier enough to basically block its hands as Yuta comes at him, breaking the barrier and leaving the Yuji having to dodge this Shinigami's hand, with him blasting her away before rushing back at Yuta, with the two rushing at each other. A giant explosion. When they connect, when their fists connect with each other, it leads to an explosion going off. Now then, move back time a little to where the fight started. Now focusing on Junpei and Choso fighting Nayata. I don't know how to say his name. And thus this. I can't remember how this fight started. And this Nayata starts, rushing them. He's faster than them, they could tell that much. Although Choso does use his piercing blood technique to land that Nayata just to stun him a bit as Junpei goes in for a punch, wrapping his hand up in ki, it turns purple, before punching Nayata in the side. And thus, he doesn't realize what that did, but although since it's taking a slow process, but eventually he will. With Choso firing a couple more piercing blood shots at him. With Junpei basically distracting him enough to where he can get hit by him. With Junpei breaking back a bit, throwing a ki blast at him. Only for Nayata to realize that those piercing blood drops were just holding ki. And the similar move he did to Yuji, as the little ki in them start to expand and grow into actual ki size, basically balls of ki before detonating. Before surrounding Nayata and detonating with Choso saying Hellzone Grenade, leading to an explosion going off. And while this is happening, Junpei ends up throwing one of his arms up, charging it, as ki starts to come out of his hand. Although, for eventually turning into a sharp spinning blade. With Nayata being slightly blinded by the smoke. Junpei screams out Destructo Disc before throwing it at him. Nayuta's able to finally get his eyes clean enough just to see it coming at him as he barely dodges it. As it cuts straight into his arm before going to a building and chopping it in half before dissipating. As he realizes something about that attack, that even though he's stronger than Junpei, if that would have landed, it would have killed If that was even a slightly even more fatal blow than just his arm, that would have killed him. As he's thinking that these two were actually forceful before using his curse technique to basically blitz them once again. Although since now he's slower and weaker thanks to the massive gaping wound in his... And just when he's trying to, he ends up realizing something. That he starts to feel slight pain, only for him to then get a knee to the face by Junpei, sending him back a bit. As he starts feeling the pain, and then looks at his cut up arm to see that it's the same place that Junpei punched him in before. It's purple. And thus he asks Junpei what the hell did he do to him. But Junpei is fighting that his Shinigami, I still don't remember its name, is a poison Shinigami. And thus he figured out a way to incorporate that poison with his ki, and thus now has poison ki punches that not only disintegrate ki and curse energy, not only does it poison the person, but also slowly levels down their ki output and curse energy output. He has the antidote. But he does have the antidote, but with him saying that he was going to kill Megami, Junpei tells him that he doesn't think it'd be a smart idea to leave him alive if he does. Which is why while he wouldn't usually do it, he's going for the killing blows here. Telling Nayuta that he's not losing another friend. This leads to him getting up, smirking a bit, before asking Junpei and Choso who the hell they exactly are. With Junpei giving him a straight answer and Choso telling him that he's an older brother. Before firing a piercing blood at him, piercing through his own shoulder. Which leads to him using his curse technique to teleport behind him and kick him. Although this event eventually leads to Choso using his, God, I forgot what it was called. His little blood thing that changed the markings on his face. I forgot what it's called. He uses that, which lets him keep up even more now with Nayuta, who's now severely weakened and damaged. Which eventually, after using his own new technique, again, I forgot what it's called. I just got done reading the goddamn chapter. Actually, as he starts using something, new technique for Choso, straight up my own. With Choso screaming at him to taste this light grenade, as he shoots a giant beam at Choso. Well, when it hits Nayuta, it immediately explodes. We know what light grenade did in the anime. You know that what light grenade did in the anime? It does that. So boom. It's revealed that out of the smoke reveals the Nayuta, who's heavily damaged and weakened, with Junpei readying a ki blast to kill him, only for them to then feel something behind him. It's Yuta. He's bloodied, battered, and bruised, but he's holding an unconscious Yuji. Also, he's limping. Like, he's seriously hurt. It doesn't take him that long to knock out both Choso and Junpei, with him in his tired eyes telling Nayuta that he'll heal him if he tells the Jujutsu higher ups that Yuji's dead. And so he agrees to this, and Yuta isn't taking them off. Now then, we skip a little bit to where Yuji wakes up, as he sees Yuta standing off over to the side, with him asking why he's not dead, and Yuta telling him that as we go to the little flashback after the little clash and a bit more fighting, Yuji ended up dropping out of Super Saiyan 2, which gave Yuta his opening. Rushing at Yuji, turning his hand into a keyblade like Zamasu and stabbing him through the chest. With him telling him that he used RCT to heal him. With Yuji putting his arm on his chest. Along with him telling Yuji that he's strong and he thinks for certain. Which, yes, he also used RCT during the fight. And he tells Yuji that he's pretty sure if it wasn't for the fact he could use RCT, he would have won that fight. Or if he didn't drop out of Super Saiyan, that Super Saiyan 2 form of his so fast. Like that. And this leads to him telling Yuji just what's happening, and which also Yuji, while looking down to see Junpei is also here. But yeah, Junpei's right there. Well, he does wonder where his big brother is, but not right now. As Yuta does tell him the two to catch, with them wondering how he has some sensu beans on him. With him telling him, he then tells them that, well, don't think that Gojo Sensei didn't take me up there to see Korin and Kami too. And this is when Megami comes out. This is when Yuji is shocked to see, but Megami soon comes out telling Yuji. This is also where Yuta figures out that Yuji still doesn't believe the fact he should live. Along with the fact that this is when Megami tells Yuji that if what did he tell him? Then just save him if Yuji doesn't believe he has to live. Basically, look. Jeez. I'm like at the start of the calling games. Oh, Lord, I can't remember what he said. But basically, Megami then explains, and when Yuji asks Megami what does he mean by save him, Megami tells Yuji straight up about what's happening with the calling games. And tell him that Tatsumiki, which brings a shocked look to both Yuji and Junpei's faces, and telling him that she's been brought into the game, and that the only way they could get her out was by getting enough points, by getting enough points to make a new rule to let any of those unwilling to participate to get out scot-free. Along with the fact that he tells them that they have 19 days to do this. Well, they have to collect points or else they lose their ki and curse energy. And thus, Yuji realizes that with them having 19 days left, it's about time to get going. But this is when Choso comes through and telling him that, well, they could also help figure this out by going to Tigan, which he explains to exactly how they can get to him. Along with the fact that we then see all four boys, after this talk, getting ready to go. And as they do leave, they end up somewhere under Jujutsu High. And with this, as we see the four walking down the corridor, they see Maki, but with now burn scars on her, and Yuki. Yuta goes to Maki and asks her if she's alright or if she should be moving around. And with Maki telling her that she's fine, along with Yuki telling them they should start to get going, which they do as they start making their way to Tengen. Now then, everybody, that's the end for part 3 of this lovely series, which I'm going to start get work on part 2 for the Gojo series, which these should both be up around 10 o'clock, or at least 11. But with that, Marhan 13.